150 years ago, a dark and decisive moment in American history happened when this nation was at war amongst itself. This terrible event was known as the Battle of Gettysburg, one of the deadliest moments in the whole conflict known as the American Civil War. This July 1st through the 3rd will actually mark the 150th anniversary of the battle, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. And I've read books and other types of documents related to the Civil War for about as long as I remember. I've also lived in many different states, and it was due to my father being in the military, which is kind of one of the reasons I was interested with military history. Anyways, the main points on this speech that I will be explaining will be the prelude to the war and the battle. It was the 3 days of fighting, that's the next point, and then the battle's effect on war and American history itself. The prelude to the battle was how the war even started between the North and the South. According to CivilWar.org, there was many reasons the South had seceded from the United States to begin with. There was many reasons, such as the election of 1860 when Lincoln was elected as president, and many Southerners feel that he would abolish slavery. Again, the topic of slavery was another reason. The rights that states have the right to govern themselves and not actually have the government interfere as much. The South and North's economy was different. The South was more agricultural and relied on slaves more than the North did when it was more industrialized with factories and all that stuff. Anyways, many states, starting with South Carolina in December 1860, had seceded and formed the Confederate States of America, and then declared its war on its northern neighbor with an attack on Fort Sumter in April of 1861. The war kept going. At first, everyone thought it would be a quick war. The two capitals, the northern capital was Washington, D.C., the southern was Richmond, Virginia, which was about 90 miles away from each other. Many people thought it would be a short war, and after the battles of Bull Run and many others, it was proving to not be one. The Confederacy always had the defensive strategy, according to Military History Online. The South had the defensive strategy. They only attacked the North twice. The first one led to the Battle of Antietam, where General Robert E. Lee, commander of all Confederate forces, was forced to retreat. The second one would lead up to Gettysburg. The second invasion of the North would lead to Gettysburg. The commanders of the battle, the main commander for the Confederates was, of course, General Robert E. Lee, who was a cunning general and was definitely well respected by both the Union and the Confederacy. As for the Union, its commanders consist of General Reynolds and then General George Meade. Now, what was important about the small town of Gettysburg? Well, General Jeb Stuart, known as the eyes and ears of the Confederacy due to his cavalry, had ran across Gettysburg, which had a large supplies of boots, which was badly needed by his troops. See, the Confederacy wasn't actually able to afford its own uniforms as well as the Union could. Anyways, the battle itself. On the first day of fighting, both Union and Confederate armies engaged at a place called Seminary Ridge, and I will get that. They engaged right here, about in this area. As you can see the commanders here. During the fighting, General Reynolds kind of made a mistake getting a little too close to the line, and he was killed by Confederate sharpshooters. Basically, like early, basically they picked him off from a distance, and after which the Union commanders decided to change the strategy itself. Now, the South always relied on the defensive. Well, this time the Union would be on the defensive, and they would fall back to Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill, and at the end of the first day, they were established here, with the Confederacy in complete control of the town of Gettysburg. The second day of fighting, Lee decides to crush the army of the Potomac. Pontiac, hard to pronounce that for me. And the Union General George Meade, appointed by Lincoln himself to replace another general, McClellan, came in and decided to have a strategy for the second day. The defensive line would look like a fishhook. that was known as the fish hook, and many reinforcements were moving in and trying to defend. The Confederacy would try to hit the flanks of it by attacking at places like Peach Orchard, Little Round Top, which was some of the fierce fighting Devil's Den. But then they would also have General Ewell attack Culp's Hill and Spangler Spring, and both attacks had, the Confederates nearly broke the Union lines, and if they had broke, they could be able to just simply cut off an entire retreat, and Union would suffer such a great loss. But the Union managed to hold. On the third day, General Lee believes to launch an attack on the center of the Union lines here at Cemetery Ridge. This would be known as Pickett's Charge, when General George Pickett would launch a large force and attack the center of the Union lines. It ended in disaster and many lives were lost. After that, the Confederates retreated and never again attacked the North again. The battle's effects for the war. Well, Meade refused to pursue as his own troops were badly wounded and he was replaced by Lincoln. At the same time, General Grant in Vicksburg, Mississippi had taken the rest of the Mississippi River and cut the Confederacy in two. The South never truly recovered and surrendered 2 years later, and it was a costly battle, over 51,000 American casualties. The effects on history was clearly the slavery was abolished, but it was also a very dark moment in American history, and we should honor those who died for freedom and their own beliefs. In conclusion, I've told you about this horrific battle and its effect on America by stating the prelude to war, the battle itself, and told what the battle had caused for America. This was a terrible battle that so many people died in a very gruesome war it was a part of, and I hope that America will never have to fight itself again and peace will endure. Thank you.